The first part of my career, the first 20 years, I spent as a consultant in new technology. And so by definition, I was constantly having to learn new things all the time. I would learn it by going to conferences, by talking with vendors, by reading documents. And that has continued throughout my entire career. What's made the biggest change, though, is the internet and the arrival of things like Google and Twitter and online MOOCs and YouTube. They've all dramatically transformed how I continually educate myself on the subjects that are of importance to me. For example, when I left the IT organization at Saint-Gobain and joined the Learning and Development organization 5-6 years ago, I knew nothing about enterprise learning, but I knew how to use the internet to learn. And so I went out onto Twitter and I found experts in enterprise learning who I started following and reading the documents and the links that they were sharing every day, and very quickly got up to speed on what was going on in enterprise learning, and now I'm looking forward to the future and how learning is changing. There are many sources that I use for my continuous learning. I don't tend to go to courses very much because what I'm trying to learn isn't really packaged up in courses very much yet. So I use things like Twitter for the stuff that is the very recent things, postings that people are making on their blog accounts. I use YouTube and YouTube channels when I'm trying to learn a particular domain. I use LinkedIn Pulse because I find that my network of connections is sharing with me some of the most relevant content that's out on the web today. And I use MOOCs almost constantly. I'm following 1 or 2 MOOCs at any point in time. And podcasts. The biggest challenge is to find the time in the day when you're going to learn, and that's the big thing, is you've got to find a behavior that works for you. And what works for me is my commute in the morning and in the evening. Every morning before I leave the house, I make sure that I have podcasts and learnings from Coursera downloaded onto my phone so that when I'm going to and from work, I can be following courses or listening to podcasts. And then throughout the day, throughout the weekend, there's always, I can go and check my Twitter accounts and I can check LinkedIn. I get the notifications on mail. I quickly scan it, and if there's something that's interesting, I'll either read it right away or I'll bookmark it to be read later on. A great app that I use for bookmarking things, for reading later, is Pocket, and I strongly encourage you to use that. The subjects that I'm trying to learn about right now are obviously all things digital, and especially digital learning and Industry 4.0, but also design thinking, agile management, and leadership through emotional intelligence. Those are 3 key subjects that I think are affecting us. For all of those latter 3, I followed MOOCs that I find are really, really outstanding. And then I try to keep my knowledge up to speed through Twitter. I also am continually learning about how to make videos because I think that video communication is fundamental for us at Saint-Gobain and for learning. And the best source that I found is YouTube channels. I started off by following about 20 different types of people, and now I only follow 2 or 3, but it keeps me continually up to speed. So that's how I learn. I think that it's critical for Saint-Gobain that all of our employees adopt a lifelong continuous learning behavior for the simple reason that the business world is changing so fast in so many dimensions that the only way we can, as an organization, learn fast enough is if all of our employees adopt a continuous learning behavior. And part of continuous learning means sharing with others, teaching others, sharing your knowledge. So that's what I try to do in my day-to-day work life at Saint-Gobain.